What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today is indeed Wednesday, which means the last summit until Season 3 is now going to be live. We have the Hoonigan Showreel, which is going to have the insane-looking Mitsubishi Lancer. I would say, guys, right now this car is honestly going to be pretty sweet. It is also going to be a Tier 2 as well, so at least it's going to be pretty quick. On top of that, in gold, we have the Motorflix Thunder Underglow, which is also purple. Being a gold item is kind of odd to me, but hey, it is actually looking pretty dang dope. Now, looking at this one right now, though, I do want to say one thing is, yes, this summit is probably going to be pretty intense. You know, normally when there's going to be a car on the line, a lot of players jump on and go, you know what, let's go after this thing and try to get it. So I would say the scoring on the summit is probably going to be fairly close. We are going to have 2 slaloms and an escape. And then we're going to have 2 Street Tier 2 races here, and then we're going to have racing, hypercar, another Street Tier 2, and then we're also going to have racing here in the middle. So it's going to be a pretty nice mix overall of events. Now, similar to some of the old summits, I decided to actually do this one in first-person view again. And I was like, you know what, let's just do this one casually and see how I actually do. I got 1,187,000 points. Is that going to be enough? Well, I would probably say it is. Now, jumping into this right now, though, the first event here is going to be a slalom. Now, I actually decided to run the exact same vehicle on both of them. Not going to lie here, I wouldn't say a motocross bike is going to be the best option, especially if you are most likely going for like a higher score overall. We all do know the motocross bikes can't keep up with a hypercar, or even something like an Alpha GP, which you know is pretty shocking. Who knew, honestly, right? A motocross bike is slower, huh? Wow. But regardless, though, if you guys are looking for over 150,000 points, I would say a motocross bike is not the best option. Although you could easily run this thing and still get like 140 plus K. If you are most likely going to be a bit worried about being in platinum, I would most likely recommend using something like an Alpha GP or something like a hypercar. And then for the escape here, I actually ended up using the lovely Lamborghini Countach. Is it going to be the fastest hypercar for this? Well, probably not. I would say the Bugatti Gendo Dici is probably the best option, or something like the Koenigsegg Regera R is also great. I wouldn't say the Lamborghini is like the worst vehicle, but we can easily see why the Bugatti Gendo Dici is so dang good. Not only is it going to be able to hold speed insanely well, it is also going to be insanely quick for that matter, on top of also handling. This car is probably one of the most stable hypercars in the game. And then moving over to the first event, you also get to drive the lovely Mitsubishi Lancer. Now for this car, guys, it is going to be base level, or I guess you could say like an overall normal level for everyone. Probably similar to something like PvP, that way it's almost like balanced. Also, you cannot change the pro settings because, you know, it's not our vehicle yet. But I would say the big thing about this event, though, is do be careful around those corners and make sure you keep that speed up. This could probably go for basically any event in this summit, but I do recommend one big thing here. When you guys are coming out of corners in this summit, make sure you actually are one gear higher. I would also say this could probably go for manual users only, but if you guys are looking for more speed out of these corners, I would say doing that is probably going to make you a bit quicker. Even on the next event here, guys, in the Porsche 911 GT, which, by the way, this car is insane. It's kind of funny how this car is good in Motorfest, even though it was one of the best in the Crew 2 before. And it does seem like the torch is being passed over. Like, yeah, the 911 GT is still going to be a king, but this thing can also be a great example of the previous statement as well. Make sure you guys are going to be one gear higher because it not only makes you faster, it is going to allow you to use more nitrous, which also makes you a lot quicker. And now moving over to the next event is going to be with the lovely Mercedes-AMG C63 touring car, which I would say is not going to be a bad car whatsoever. Is it going to be the best racing car in the game? Well, I would say at this point that's probably going to be a no. But I would also say, though, it's not going to be a bad car because not only does it handle pretty decently, but on top of that, guys, it also has some great overall speed, which makes it pretty competitive. And now moving over to the next event here, you also get to drive the Lamborghini Reventon. I would actually say for a hypercar, this thing is going to be quick. Then again, I have noticed many of the Lamborghinis have some insane acceleration, and the Reventon's definitely not going to be no weird stranger to it. Now for this though, I would recommend being a bit careful around those corners because I did notice with settings, this car does seem to slide a bit, which is kind of odd. Like, I did actually mess around with the pro settings and I was like, you know what? Let's go back into and add this thing to no pro settings whatsoever, and shockingly enough, it was better. And now moving over to the next event here, guys, is going to be a Street Tier 2 race with any Porsche of your liking. I would say the number one Porsche is most likely going to be the Taycan Turbo S and the lovely 911 GT. Like, both of them are great, and we really cannot argue the fact that the 911 is that good. For me, though, I did want to use the 911 Carrera 4S, which isn't going to be the greatest car, but I do have to admit it's definitely not going to be a bad car either. The reason why I do say that is the acceleration on the 911 Carrera is insane, and the overall handling is going to be pretty dang good, but it is most likely going to fall a bit short of the 911 GT. And now for the final event, though, is going to be with a Germany-based vehicle, so the number one car, guys, isn't going to be shocking. The lovely Volkswagen Electric R is probably the best overall option here. Funnily enough, I did actually try this out in the Mercedes-Benz. Is it going to be a bad car? To be honest, no. And the reason why I do say that, though, is the Electric R and the Audi S1 is probably going to be some of the fastest vehicles in the racing category. Like, not even kidding here, guys, the way these cars accelerate is absolutely insane. But besides all that, though, guys, I would say this summit is probably going to be pretty dang intense, at least compared to some of the others, and that is probably going to come down to the lovely Mitsubishi Lancer. But if you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments below. Let's jump right into this.